Hi, everybody. I'm Tanya Baldwin from Mind, Body, Spirit, Healthy Self, as well as from the host of Trauma Talk. I do reels on Facebook that are titled Trauma Talk, as well as on Instagram. And I do a live every morning in Facebook on various platforms, I should say, on various platforms. I go live on YouTube as well as on LinkedIn, Facebook, and on my profile, as well as various groups and pages. I am a trauma wellness healer and a registered nurse and an intuitive. I also do oracle card readings, and I have various programming available that targets that. I have a 90-day program that I work through clients with, but I've extended that to be a 6-month program. So stay tuned for some interesting information regarding that, as I'm trying to just make it so that it's more affordable to more people. This coming Tuesday in the Divine Feminine Healing Collective will be the full moon ceremony. If you're not part of that group, just let me know if you're interested. We meet 4 times a month, where we do new moon and full moon, full Zoom interactive sessions. And then on the waxing and waning cycles, there is a check-in, which is a Facebook Live. I also am in the beginnings of creating a challenge that I'm going to be launching in the beginning of December for the entire month through the Mind, Body, Spirit, Healthy Self group. And that will be targeted at creating a healthy routine within your bedtime and morning routines. But stay tuned for that. I'll be releasing more information soon. So the cards for today, I'm super excited about it. I ended up pulling 2 from this deck. If you're interested in having a card pulled for you from today, just let me know in the comment section. And if I can't see your name, I'll let you know so that you can let me know what your name is, because I like to channel your energy when I'm pulling the card. So I pulled this card yesterday, I'm pretty sure, number 3, Between Worlds. I'm not sure why my camera's really white today. I'm not sure if I can work on those settings while I'm not sure. I'll have to work on the settings a little bit because the brightness is definitely bright. Hello. So somebody said I would love a card pulled first and then hello. I didn't see those names. And then I saw Deanna Mirth, and I'll pull a card for you for sure. And then someone else said first time here, but I'm not sure who that first time user is. I'd love to know who you are and if you were the one that was asking for a card as well. So we'll go with I'll do the collective reading first. So if this resonates with you, take what resonates. And if it doesn't resonate with you, just let it go. Sometimes a message that's meant for somebody else ends up coming to you in a different way. Alkeda, nice name. That's an interesting name, not the usual name. So Between Worlds, the essential meaning is transitions, not being quite out of one situation and fully engaged in another, temporary blindness, no man's land. The Oracle's message, between the worlds is where you must let go of the tendency to make assumptions. This is a time when you are unable to see what is ahead. Cultivate curiosity and trust the process of change and growth. You are done learning the lessons of recent experiences. In this place between what was and what will be is a state of making and unmaking and making again. What is essential now is to admit not knowing. There is a freedom and power to be unleashed. A mystery that is not yours to understand weaves the web of life within a divine matrix of consciousness greater than your own thoughts, feelings, beliefs, desires, and decisions. The seeds that were planted in the past begin to take root, but what surfaces will probably not be what you expect. When you are between the worlds, you are invited to see with the curious eyes of a child glimpsing a rainbow for the first time. Do so, and you will not be disappointed. So because I pulled it in protection, this is the message. Be mindful of your expectations. This is not a time for guarantees. Things will not go as you plan or dictate. Let go and see what Spirit has in store. What takes hold in your life will be better than you can imagine. I would love to pull a card for you. I'll try to mark the time down for you, Kim. So I'll leave a comment and let you know that at this time is when I'm saying your message. So then you can skip to that if you'd like. Okay. Um, so in the protection message, right, we end up loading ourselves up so much with expectations about what we want for the day or what we want for the experience, what we want from people. Like we put expectations on people. And then when they don't measure up to those expectations, we're disappointed rather than, even for ourselves. And I was talking about this before, and that's part of what that challenge is that I'm setting up for December in Mind, Body, Spirit, Healthy Self. And that's to look at to get into looking at the gain as opposed to the gap, right? So that was that book or audio book that I listened to on my drive across the country. It's called The Gap and the Gain. So most of us focus on the gap, and it doesn't matter who you are or how good you get at doing this. There's going to be times when you find that you're in the gap. It's just recognizing that you're in the gap and stepping out of it. So that gap is the gap between where you are and where you thought you wanted to be. So the goals that you set for yourself, let's say. So if you were a business and you said, I want to, let's say this month I said, I want 5 new clients and I only get 2, then I can be disappointed because I didn't get those other 3 clients. That's the gap between what I got and what I wanted to get, right? And we live within that and in that space rather than saying, but the difference between 0 and where I got is 2, I accomplished 2 clients. Yay. That's the gain. The gain is the 2. And then you can look at it and say, well, what could I do if I wanted to, maybe achieve more? Is there something that I could have addressed? But it's not about looking at just it being a disappointment because you didn't get where you wanted to get, because then you're always going to be in that disappointment state unless you achieve something. And even when you achieve something, normally we want to achieve more and get higher and higher and higher. So we're still in that gap of not getting to where we expected to get, right? It's not a good way to live in. We should be living with that in that gain. We've gained so much. We've accomplished so much. Yes. Right. So the other card, because I ended up pulling 2, and the reason why is because I was pretty certain I pulled Between Worlds yesterday, and I was just like 2 days back to back. Let's see what else is coming up. And I had in the moment was going to choose between 2 cards, and the one that I chose was initially Between Worlds, but this was the second card that I had contemplated choosing, so I pulled it anyway. And it's Loyal Heart. And I pulled it in protection, and Loyal Heart is number 35. So let's read the essential meanings. Hi, Amanda. Lovely, lovely to see you on this Sunday. It's a beautiful Sunday too. We've had some interesting weather. So yesterday it was 20 degrees in Ontario and November 5th. And I don't know. It's it's late summer, really late summer. It's amazing. I do more like actual like full readings. Like I pull cards in this, like the big reading that I do is for the collective where I pull 3 or more cards depending. This morning's 4 cards. But when I do full readings, if you want to connect with me, I could do a reading for you. But yeah, we can connect to do a full reading. But if you want, I can pull a card for you and see if that card gives you any direction on that. No, I slept through it. I was actually up pretty late, but I ended up sleeping through it. I love thunder and lightning too. I absolutely love a good storm. Um, it was quite windy here, and at one point I got quite startled because it was making the back door shake, and of course the dog got all barking and growling, and it really sounded like someone was trying to get in the back door. And I was on the phone with my mom at the same time, and I was like, okay, if I open the door and there's somebody there, I'm like, at least I have you on the phone and I have a dog. But I think it's just the door shaking against the wind. But I was like scared for a moment there because how big my dog was posturing and like barking and growling. And if you have a dog, whenever your dog gets triggered and thinking that something's there, it makes you kind of think, well, there might really be something there. But I was lucky. It was just the wind. I let him out and he did his little sniff around and check things out. And then he came back in, and I made sure that the door was latched a little more secure. But yeah, I love a good thunderstorm. And my brother has a house right on Lake Ontario. And so the storms that you see on the lake, they've been spectacular when I stayed there with him last year. So, and I've seen some on Rice Lake that have been quite spectacular too, but do love a good storm. Back to the cards. Loyal heart. Ta-da. In protection mode. But I'm going to read the essential meanings first, and then we'll see what the protection message is. So essential meanings: fidelity, loyalty, devotion. Evidence of loyalty will appear in your life. Others will prove they are faithful to you, and you will in turn commit fully to them. There is a sure and abiding certainty in your heart. Know that spirit is always loyal to you. No matter the outer circumstances in your life, trust and have faith, for you are eternally loved, always divinely protected, and divinely directed. The protection message: are you stubborn or overly tenacious about an idea? Or have you become so attached to something that you just don't know how to let it go? Could it be that it's become so much a part of you that you wouldn't know who you are without it? We get really tied to our stories, right? Sometimes, and I talked about this yesterday, where I got really tied to the story that, I was somebody who had trauma, who had mental health issues because of that trauma: depression, anxiety, complex PTSD, panic disorder, all of those things. And that when I healed, I no longer had that as a crutch. And it was a moment where I actually went, wow, I didn't realize that I had identified so firmly with that, and that I was really like, that was a part of a crutch in my life. Not to say that, it wasn't real or valid, that I did have depression, that I did have anxiety, that I did have complex PTSD. I had all of those things for sure. But knowing that through the healing process, as I was stepping through that state, that I was thinking, oh my God, as I get healthier, I no longer have that to fall back on. So I don't have, I can't sit there and go, well, I can't go to work today because I'm having, I'm dealing with my mental health. I wouldn't necessarily have that to fall back on. I just have to fake sick, like, like other people do. Just pretend like I can't come to work and I don't want to go to work. Actually, I just became a better employee and just didn't have as many sick days. And now I work for myself. So if I'm sick, I have to, my integrity is to me. So now is the time to look at outdated beliefs, old ideas, and misplaced loyalties. Betrayal is only a signal that it is time to prune away all who don't deserve your trust and have no place in your life. Be new, think new, and open your heart to new things. Let go of the old and all your attachments. Spirit has awesome plans for you. Make some room. And it's true. Like, most of the times we don't even know where our beliefs are from. We acquired them maybe from our parents or a teacher or, our friends when in our earlier days, we found all of those things, right? And we don't even know where they came from, and they don't even know where they came from, right? It's just a long chain of somebody saying, this is how it was done, and this is how it's always going to be done, or this is how it should be viewed, right? Like, when you think about how much we've changed belief systems collectively, right? You think about, 50 years ago, what would have happened for somebody who didn't love the opposite gender, right? If it wasn't male, female, female, male, right? Think about what would have happened then, or what have happened, 100 years ago, if a white person had have been interested in somebody with a different color of skin. It would have been a totally different thing. So our belief systems change collectively, but our belief systems can change individually. You can choose at any point in time to change the beliefs that you have to be something that fits you better, that suits who you are and suits things in a much better way. Something as simple as growing up being told that your family is always poor. We're always struggling with money. We never have enough. Things never go right for us, right? If you've had that kind of a belief system drilled into you, you're going to go through your life thinking, I'm never going to have money. I'm always going to struggle. And you know what you're going to do? You're never going to have money, and you're always going to struggle because you're going to find ways to self-sabotage or to set yourself on that path. So your belief systems are important, and they can be changed at any time. So it's an important card to take, to take heart of that. What is happening in your life that you can maybe change or tweak or alter a little bit? So I do believe the Loyal Heart was the card that I should have picked when I pulled the Loyal Heart. When I pulled the Between Worlds and Protection stage, because the next card that I pulled was also number 35, lost compass, and we're talking about getting back to integrity. So when the lost compass appears, it is a sign that you need to find your way back home, back to your source and center, relying on your intuition to arrive there. Be wary of the signs telling you to turn here or there, or to avoid this or that person or situation, because the outward indicators are not reliable right now. Be careful not to believe all the advice you're receiving. Rely instead on your innate sense of direction and guidance, and use your homing instinct to lead you true. The lost compass has come to show you that you need to find new counselors. You are not getting the mentoring you need for your success. Who is that person that you're looking up to as a model for what it means to be a woman or a man? Trash that ideal. Tear up the picture you carry in your mind. You are meant to be you, not the best copy of your dearest friend. You are authentic, that's for sure. You are unique, and that's your superpower. Make this your mantra: love me or leave me. The lost compass is a blessing in disguise, because you sometimes have to lose your bearings and find yourself afresh to discover a new course. True north never changes, so reset your way to your heart compass and trust your deepest feelings, even when others do not support them. Remember, you are not lost. You simply do not know where you are going right now. Lost is a state of mind. Not knowing where you are going is an opportunity to find a way to a new path, right? And we do that a lot, where we allow outer influences to affect us. People may not understand the inner workings of, let's say, your most intimate relationships. They may not understand what's going on behind closed doors, because all they're seeing is maybe what you're telling them, or what their perspective makes them think about what's going on, but they don't really know. The only one that truly knows whether it's a benefit to you or a hindrance to you is you, because you're the one that's actually living in it. And those brief moments that people find out about or glimpse in your relationship don't tell the full story. And that's just one aspect, right? You have to do what sits with you. So listen to your intuition. And if you haven't been listening to your intuition, or you've forgotten how to, you need to work on that. I can definitely guide you in that, but not during the card pull. That's something that takes a little more work. So the tarot card that I pulled, and again, I've been thinking about not pulling from the tarot deck. And this morning I sat there and I looked, because I probably have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I probably have almost 15 oracle card decks. So I was thinking about getting a different deck out, and I have a couple new ones. So I was like, maybe I'll pull from one of the new oracle decks. But this morning, for some reason, I had to use this tarot deck, because I just love it so much. It's so beautiful. So the card that I pulled is the Knight of Swords. And again, because he's one of the suits in the tarot, he doesn't actually have a number. Just the major arcana are assigned numbers, although you would get like a 2 of cups or ace of cups, or 10 of cups. But I buy them for the company, so that's one way that like I use them as a purchase through the company. That helps a little bit. But yeah, I have an obsession, because it's the pictures on it and the messages, and they align in different spaces. Like the one deck I have, I should say I have 2 decks that are astrology decks. So it's great to learn about the astrology too, which is why I really, really like them. So that's one of the ones I was thinking about pulling from. I have a Gateway to Light activation. I have the Rose Oracle. I have a Starseed Oracle. I have so many beautiful decks. And then, of course, I have 2 spirit animal decks. I have 2 moonology decks. Yeah. And so, yeah, I have a lot, but anyway, onto this card, and then we'll pull some cards for people before I end up running out of time just talking about all my beautiful decks. So Light Seer: haste, streamlined decision-making, intelligence, wit, determination, saving the day, the pursuit of excellence, ambition, being assertive, success. Shadow Seer, so in the inverted position. Unfocused and scattered energy, impatience, acting too quickly, the need for logical solution, feeling held back by frustration by frustrating circumstances, stalling, being hard-edged, and emotionally unavailable, unpredictable. This knight has one thing on his mind, and it's running toward his success. He's determined and passionate, articulate and intelligent, and he has an intensity that is hard to grasp. He sounds like an Aries. Just to pull the astrology in there. This Knight of Swords sounds like an Aries. He's ambitious. Yeah, definitely. With the grace and speed of an athlete, he turns on a dime, and since he has no doubt in his sound logic, he succeeds. He's following his intuition too. How determined are you to accomplish? Are you bringing your belief and competitive assertiveness to your situation? How determined are you to accomplish this and to charge ahead with your quick thinking and strategic decision making? Strive for excellence every single day in order to bring a little of his magic into your life. As with all powerful energies, you may run the risk of being overly forceful or domineering. Be careful not to hurt others with your impatience to win. If you are feeling scattered, distracted, or blocked, spend time organizing your thoughts and making sure that all your energy is hurtling in the same direction. I move quickly to help others, and as I do, my dream expands. So it's a beautiful, beautiful message. So we have a bunch of card pulls to do now because I opened that up, and I will open it up as well if anyone else wants one, because I'm not sure if any new viewers came in. I'm going to pull from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck. It's the deck that I prefer to pull from because for the messages for individuals, because it does it has messages on, relationship and prosperity outlined, plus the protection messages. So that's why I like that, because I feel like it's full bodied. So let's go back. I think Deanna was the first one. Deanna and Alketa. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Alketa, and then Kim, if my mouse would work. Kim and Chandni. Okay, so we'll start with Deanna. Let's see what message for you today, my love. And all I'm asking, if anyone wonders what I ask of the deck, I just ask, what is the message for? And in this case, it would be Deanna, from Spirit for today. What is the message from Deanna for Spirit for today? That's what I call God, source. I do actually use all, but it could be for you, universe, it could be source, it could be spirit, it could be God, it could whatever you choose to use. But for me, when I'm asking the message, I tend to use the term spirit. What is the message from Spirit for today for Deanna? And then I feel energetically, I feel like I'm connected energetically, and then I pull a card and away we go. So I pulled Yin, number 2, in protection. I really have to find out why my camera went all like over white. Like it's very, very, the brightness is very bright. I'm oversaturated. I'm saturated with white. I got to figure out that. So Yin, we'll talk about the essential messages, and then we will go to the protection message, because that's where I pulled it in. So the feminine principle of receptivity, letting someone else make the first move, gathering information and taking in cues, the art of conscious allowing. The Oracle's message. This is a time of calculated receptivity as you gracefully await what is coming to you, ready to accept. Hi. Good. I'm glad. But it seems very bleached out. Like there's too much white in the camera. But thank you. The feminine. This is a time of calculated receptivity as you gracefully await what is coming to you, ready to accept it when it appears. Yin does not involve frozen dreams or even resting, but rather consciously allowing things to flow to you, poised to receive the bounty that will be made available to you. It implies sensitivity as you alertly study the action of others and contemplate how they will affect you and yours. Remember, you must make space for miracles to appear. Be the shaped, not the shaper, and you'll see how quickly your dreams manifest. So in the protection state, do you have trouble receiving? A lot of us givers do. we're so give, give, give. And we've been set up that way by our families, or, in some of our childhood trauma exposures, we've been pushed into that. Hi, Megan. Where we were taught that we shouldn't be asking for things, or our needs don't matter. It's everybody else matters, right? You're only as good as what you're doing for other people. You've got to be that good girl. You've got to be subservient. You've got to give, 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 give. And we give and we give and we give and we give, and we don't open ourselves up to receive. And this yin is the active act of receiving. It's not about just not doing anything. It's just, you have to actively receive. You have to be open to receiving, right? You stop the flow of abundance when you continually insist upon being the giver. You can't always lead, always give, always teach. You must be the student, the open vessel, and the one who receives the gift, gesture, or offer in equal measure. Open up and let love, life, abundance, and spirit fill you without demand or expectation. Just receive the bounty that is yours. It does. It does take a long time. I work on it all the time and making sure that I remain open. And sometimes I question whether or not I am being open enough, or because I do in in what I'm doing now, I'm operating in a giving state. This hour that I do every morning is an hour that I give freely of myself. I give freely of myself for my Divine Feminine Healing Collective. The time prep for each of those sessions, and each session that I do for the full moon and the new moon ceremonies, and then the check-ins, they're at least an hour in length, some of them to 2 hours when it's the full ceremony, because we just get going and we're having so much fun. So, those are me being in giving mode. At some point I have to be in receiving mode. And I do that through education for sure. I'm always receiving knowledge from other people, but yeah, it's a definite challenge to embody that receiving state and not feeling bad about it. Like you somehow inherently should be just give, 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 right? So this one is for Alketa. I hope I'm saying your name right, dear. And then it would be for Kim, and then Channy, and then we'll see where I'm at after those ones, if I have time to do some more cards. But just remember, cards that are pulled for other people can oftentimes contain a message that it resonates so well with you that love you, dear, that it's a message for you that it came to you in the way that it could. So a card that got pulled for somebody else contains a message for you, and that's called a Cleat-on. And this is the card I want. Aha. So this is for Alketa, and I pulled Poised, and I pulled it in protection, but I'll show you the card in the upright, which is number 48. I hope so too. I love that you're on YouTube. Welcome. If you're not following me on YouTube, if you're catching me on YouTube and you're not following me, do the subscribe and like button, and you can hit the bell, and then it'll tell you when I'm going live. So number 48, Poise. So I'll read the initial meaning, the essential meaning, and the oracle's message, and then I'll tell you what it is in protection mode. So this is again for Alketa. Whoever just said, hi, I would love a card, please. I don't see your name. So if you could put your name down to let me know who it is, that would be great, because then I can channel your name when I'm shuffling the cards. So essential meanings of poised: being ready, bringing something to light, being at your best, confidence. So the oracle's message: you can be assured that you are ready for anything right now. You know what you need. Your skills are sharp. You've come to this place armed with wisdom and knowledge, and you sense a new phase of your life about to begin. People respond to your confidence and trust you. This is an auspicious time to begin new things. Like, you're poised to take that leap. And look at her. She's just so, like, that's just such a beautiful expression of joy. But in the protection message, hi, Tracy, I'll definitely pull a card for you then. You're not ready to move forward at this time, and that has to be okay. Be poised in the face of demands and deadlines. Pretending you know what you're doing works sometimes, but if you adopt a fake it till you make it attitude, it will land you in some muck now. This is not the time to wing it and deliver something half finished. It's okay to postpone things until you are ready. It's better to disappoint others now than to wish you had later. So if you're thinking about taking that leap or taking that step into something new or uncharted, it's just saying you're just not right there yet. Just wait, make sure that you've dotted all your I's, crossed all your T's, right? If it was something like you're going to sign a contract, right? Maybe take a moment and read it or get someone else to read it over before signing the contract, just to make sure that it is actually what you want to sign up for, right? If you're thinking about starting into a new career, make sure that you've looked at all the foundations, right? You've gotten all your eggs in a row, all your chickies in a row. I don't know where my chickens are. There was a rooster down the road that crowed at me and my friend the other day when we were walking. We went to the local restaurant to have supper. We hadn't seen each other I was out in Alberta. So we got together since I came back to Ontario, and we went out for dinner. And as we were walking to the restaurant, there were chickens outside and this rooster was crowing at us. And it was awesome. So then yesterday I went with my son on the same walk down to the restaurant, and we went for lunch there. And when we came back, the chickens and the roosters were out. And at the same time, my son thought the one was a rooster, and I'm like, that's the chicken. And then when I saw the rooster, I'm like, that's the rooster. And at the same time, we both went, roo, roo, roo. I was like, you can totally tell you're my son. It was fantastic. Okay. So this one is for Kim, and I have to look at the time so I can let Kim know what time I am posting. Okay, we're at, we'll say about 32, just before the 31 and a half, 31 and a half maybe. All right, Kim. I actually like this one. The Fates. So for Kim, the Fates, number 17. And I did pull it in the upright phase, so I will read the entire message. So the phase. Oh, nice. I love St. Catharines. Beautiful down there. Fate, karma, acceptance that there are things you cannot change and knowing what those things are. The Oracle's message. The Serenity Prayer sums up the meaning of this card. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the courage to change the things I can and the wisdom to know the difference. There are things in life you will never have control over. The conditions brought on by the evolution of the collective, by nature. I did. That was the card that I pulled just before. Poised in protection mode was the one for Al-Qaeda, and it was about just waiting before making that step. So yeah, it's the message just before this one. But it was about you're poised at the edge. You're on that brink of stepping into the new, of, starting something or, launching into something, but it's just not yet. Whatever that thing is that you're just about to do, just wait. Make sure you've got all your I's dotted and your T's crossed and you're prepared. Okay. Sorry about that, Kim, because that'll be a bit of an interruption. So I'll start yours over again. So the card for Kim was the Fates. So fate, karma, the acceptance that there are things you cannot change and knowing what those things are. The Oracle's message, so again, the Serenity Prayer, sums up the meaning of this card. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the courage to change the things I can and the wisdom to know the difference. There are things in life you will never have control over. The conditions brought on by the evolution of the collective, by nature, and by your past experiences may be fated, preordained by spirit for a greater purpose you cannot understand in this lifetime. It may not be in your cards to understand why certain events occurred, but you can accept the mystery and work with what those events and your current circumstances have to teach you. This is the wisdom contained in the Serenity Prayer. So relationship message. Other people are who they are. You can't change them. The challenge is to accept them as they are and not try to make them otherwise to suit you. This is a time to look at how you attempt to mold people to fit your view or how they should be so that you can remain in the relationship and avoid discomfort. I talk about this all the time. It's like the 80-20 rule, right? If we have 80% of a relationship, that's great. We'll hold on, even though 20% can be any level of not good, right? From a little bit of not good to full on toxic and abusive, but we'll stay in it because 80% of it is good. And I've talked about relationships before in the sense of that, where this octagon, and we're going around searching for our other octagon, or we're a circle, right? And we're going around searching for another circle. And we'll go along and we'll find, yep, I will share the recording. I say the recording goes to every place and saves there. And I also upload the audio to Spotify, to my channel on that. But when we go along, we find somebody, we'll find people that are a square. Well, square inside a circle, it's really obvious that it doesn't fit, right? Like it's got to really shave off a lot for a square to fit inside a circle, or a circle is going to really be stretched to accommodate that square, right? So we know those are the people we really know they're not for us, right? But we'll go around with our circle and we'll find someone with an octagon. Well, because there's so many edges on the octagon, it kind of fits, doesn't quite fit, kind of fits. So maybe they have to wiggle off a little bit of who they are to, fit in there and stay comfortable. And us, we have to fill in these little gaps in where they don't quite match to make it comfortable. So we both do these little tweaks to make this relationship comfortable and work, but it isn't actually the right relationship for us. We're just settling for something rather than waiting for what actually is for us and what actually fits. But there's always lessons and experiences in those moments, right? So back to the message. Find your circle. Find your circle that fits your circle, or your octagon that fits your octagon. And so what if who they are and whatever is happening between you and them in this situation is perfect from the perspective of spirit? Now is the time to accept what you cannot change, even if it means that you honor yourself, spirit, and the other person by moving on. Loving unconditionally for each of us is on our own journey, and we cannot direct that of the other. Be aware that this relationship is indeed fated, and you are meant to evolve into a better version of yourself as a result of it. Now, remember, these relationship messages, I'm speaking to Kim because this is her message, but and for everybody, but when it's a relationship message, that could be a partnership, that could be family. It doesn't have to be just romantic relationships. It could be somebody else within your life. It could be a friendship who's just, you need to accept that the relationship is not working. It's not the relationship for you, at least not at this time in this form. The prosperity message. Your experiences concerning prosperity and abundance are beyond your personal control right now. You're being invited to accept what is unreservedly. This could be a temporary situation, seemingly thrust upon you by outside forces, but there is an underlying purpose you can't see that's being determined by the fates. It could be a situation you are unprepared for, and you may not understand how it will benefit you in the moment. Do not fight the situation. Ride it out and see where it leads. Surrender to it, and the serenity you need to make good choices from here on out will be given to you. You will indeed flourish, right? And I say that with everything that I'm going through. I am newly seeing somebody. We've been talking for about 5 months and, newly seeing each other. And I always remind myself, if it's not for me, then it's a lesson. And what's for me will come along. And I'm okay with that. Right? I've had many lessons in my lifetime, and I've enjoyed and loved a lot of the moments in those lessons. And I've not enjoyed some of the moments in those lessons, but they allowed me to grow and to be the person that I am. I'm a swirling scribble as I see a blank page. Octagon, I love it. Okay, so I got to get back to the top and see where I am at, because I know that was for Kim. And then Chandni. And I'm making sure, so Chandni, and then after Chandni, we are looking at Tracy and then Megan. And Megan, I believe it's Megan. Tracy and then Megan. Okay, so Chandni, what is your message from Spirit? Well, we don't take cards that fall. We just take that as a bad shuffle. And we put it back in the deck. I'll pick it up. Pick up the card through the vibration, the energy feeling that I get as I'm asking. And I actually seek out the card that feels like the appropriate card to deliver the message. So, Chandni, Unfinished Symphony is the card that I pulled, number 10. But I pulled it in protection. So let's see what this beautiful It's such a cute card. Such a cute card. Number 10. Let's see what our message is. I have not actually pulled this card. I don't think, if I pulled it, it was a long time ago. Good morning, Amanda. How are you? So the unfinished symphony. Meanings, the essential meaning of the card: unfinished business, an incomplete lesson, lack of closure, the need to make amends. The oracle's message: this is a time to tie up loose ends as you near the completion of a cycle or project and mastery of a lesson or skill. Before you can move forward, it's important that you come to terms with where you are now. Practice radical acceptance. Take inventory so that emotional and psychological closure can occur and the answers you seek will be found. You can't move forward if you are leaving things unfinished. Reflect on what has passed so that the symphony can finally end on a high note. Hi, Sarah. Lovely to see you today. In the protection state, the message, sorry, my son was calling me. In the protection message, when unfinished business casts a shadow over your life, it is a reminder that procrastination is a form of self-sabotage. Oh, it is. It is not in your best interest to stall. Even stumbling forward is better than holding back. Don't overthink things or let yourself get distracted. Just tie up any loose ends and deliver the result. Don't quit before the finish line. Spirit wants you to win. Good morning, Monica. Good morning. Good morning. So that's a strong message for all of us, right? When you protection, like the procrastination being self-sabotage. And we do that for a variety of reasons. Sometimes we do it because we have a fear of failure. And so if we just keep delaying the start, if we didn't really start it, then we didn't really, how could we really have failed, right? There's a lot of times when we don't give our full effort because we're like, well, if I don't invest 100% of myself, then I have an excuse for why it didn't work out. I can say, well, I didn't do this or I didn't do that. And the same thing with like with not starting, right? Some of us, we don't start, we delay and delay and delay because when we get closer to the finish line, to something, to the deadline that something has to be done, we push ourselves into that state of fight or flight, right? We get ourselves triggered because we're addicted to those chemicals in our body. Like having that looming deadline, it puts us into that different state. And we get keen, we get better vision, we're dialed in. There are a lot of things that when you get in that fight or flight that are helpful, but but a lot of times the reason why we're doing it is because we're self-sabotaging, because we know that if we push the deadline to the end, that we're not going to finish it. We're not going to get it done. We're not going to be able to do it as well because we didn't give ourselves the time that was necessary to do it all. Right. For my full moon rituals, I have a lot of work that I need to put in for the big ceremonies. And, like there's a lot of documents that I do. There's a lot of content that I have to get prepared. If I delayed until the last moment, then I'm either not putting out the quality of stuff that I want or the amount that I want. So I'd be shortening the information that I'm going to relay to the people, or I'm, why would I do that besides to just self-sabotage? Right? If I give myself more time, then I make sure that I get it done. But it's that addiction to those chemicals that are in our body that really drive us into that state again and again and again. And sometimes it comes from that sense of feeling not good enough, right? If we're not good enough and we fail, then we've reaffirmed that we're not good enough. So after Chan Mi, it was oh my God, I forgot. I forgot the order, girls. I forgot the order. Okay, so Chan Mi, I did her. And then Megan and Tracy. Sorry, Tracy. This is for Tracy. Tracy and then Megan. Tracy. For Tracy, chaos and conflict, number 33, and I pulled it in protection. Okay, so let's see. Yes, it does. Self-sabotage most definitely does loop us back to our trauma. So let's look at number 33 and see what our essential meaning is, and then we'll go into the protection message, which is the big message here. So chaos and conflict. Essential meanings: disarray, being at cross purposes with another, the tension of opposites, the value of chaos before order. The main message: opposing forces come together to create a turbulent atmosphere, but consider the value of chaos that serves you well as you become unmoored by it. Scattered to the winds, you leave behind the parts of yourself you no longer need and disperse seeds to reinvent yourself anew. Although the conflict appears to exist externally, its essence is also internal, projected outward and causing disarray. You may find yourself at a cross purposes with someone else, facing a storm you feel you can't control. Yet every storm passes, and chaos leads to a reordering of things. Conflict provides a way to see more than one side of a situation. Look upon this as just a moment in time when you may need to take shelter and step away from the fray. Don't be too eager to fight. This is a time to understand rather than to be understood. The protection message. This is an advantageous moment to restore order and recognize the opportunity for negotiation. Even in the seeming chaos, there is a kind of divine order, a complete resorting of elements. This is powerful. If your intention is to find the best solution for the highest good of all, there is positive news. The timing is perfect. Things are already stirred up, so don't be afraid to jump into the mix. You'll discover everything you need to know about how this situation affects you long term. Be present in the eye of chaos. The moment is valuable. Don't waste it. So a really good message there, right? And we get afraid of conflict. We get afraid of things getting all messed up in our lives. But sometimes what that, there's this saying that goes that rejection is redirection, right? Sometimes what you get, like the rejection that happens, is the best thing that could happen to you. Now, I went through a jobs experience where that happened with me, where I ended up, because they had hired somebody and she came in and she was doing all this negative toxic stuff, but they bought into it. For some reason, they bought into it. I had been there for a while, and they just, for whatever reason, they decided to believe this new person that came in about all this toxicity that she was spewing about me and how I was behaving. And so I ended up getting terminated from the role. And I was so upset and hurt by it, because it wasn't true. None of it was true. The job that I got next was so much more fulfilling, so much bigger and better than what that I was in. And so that rejection that happened there was a redirection to a career change that ended up lasting for over 5 years and provided a lot of growth and a lot of discovery and just, a lot of benefits. So that redirection message, right? But chaos, conflict, right? Learn to be okay with it as much as you can be, to understand that there may be lessons to learn from that experience that's going to guide you or propel you in a great direction, especially if you're open to what is the result that you want, right? Always think about that with your relationship. What is the goal for this relationship long term? Do you want to have a loving, kind, compassionate relationship, say with your mom? And there's conflict abound here. So if it's important for you to maintain the relationship, then do the work that's necessary to navigate through the conflict in a way that's going to support both of you in a balanced way. If you're not concerned with keeping the relationship, then maybe you're going to fight more for yourself to be, heard and understood, without regard to whether or not that's going to affect the relationship in a way that the person won't like. Right? If they don't like it, they can lump it, kind of mentality, if that's the case of the relationship, right? But always go in with the relationship and the goal of the relationship in mind and what you want to achieve. So this is for Megan. What is her message? I get this one a lot. I think a lot of people actually need this. And it was why in protection mode. So why is number 31. There's something about this card. I think a lot of people have questions and they need to actually, and understanding the why behind things is the biggest message within that card. But let's see what we'll read it out because I like to read them over and over and over again. So you're always getting the message that the person who designed the Oracle card deck, what they wanted this card to mean. And then I'll do my little intuitive messages throughout with what I'm getting from it. And that little bit of trauma, mental health healing that can be inputted into some of the messaging. So motives drive intention, the power of knowing the why. The Oracle's message. There is a great power in understanding your motives right now. The Oracle asks you to be very clear about why you're asking this question, looking for this answer, behaving in this way, and most importantly, making this choice. Knowing your why is the key to fulfillment. When you are clear about it, your intention will then be a magnet for miracles. Motives define the nature of your experience. When you think about something, feel it, and then act on it. This invisible why is the life force energy within the seed, which brings it to life and holds it for potential growth. She knows. The protection message. Sometimes subconsciously, denying the truth may drive you toward a specific outcome that actually aligns with an intention hidden from your awareness. For example, you may want to be prominent in your profession, but your desire is not really about sharing your talents, but about making yourself feel better because fame would cause people to admire and approve of you. Or you may want to reunite with a partner who rejected you because you believe that your love continues to be strong, but deep down, what you really desire is to have the last word with this person. Now is the time for deep soul searching of the why that drives your choices. What you uncover will set you free and bring you ever closer to the happiness you seek, right? We don't want to be attached to people because we have a fear of being alone, as a side message from that, right? We don't want to be attached to people because of a fear of being alone if that relationship is unhealthy. And sometimes we do that. I've backpedaled before. In my last relationship, it was very toxic, and it was so toxic that besides the fact that at the end of it, when we were breaking up, they were super toxic. And, like they tried to just take me out on every level, like my career. They were doing all kinds of negative stuff to my place of employment. They were saying things to my family. They were doing all of this stuff. They even huge message on Facebook. And yet because of, my understanding of trauma and understanding that they have trauma that they need to work on, I excuse a lot of bad behavior. I make excuses for people that you did it because you're traumatized. That's why you worked that. It triggered your fight or flight and you decided to fight and you decided to do this. But I know, that's not who you are inherently. That's still their actions. We had ended up attempting to fix it. And there were multiple times where again and again, that person made me question not just who I am, but like my actual insanity, because of the hurtful things that they would say to me. And yet I still attempted to try to repair that relationship. And I don't know, like now I haven't reversed, but this card would have come up for me and said, why, Tanya, why are you going back there? Why are you doing this? Like, know your reasons why. And I think at that time there was that you put the rose colored glasses on and you think, oh, this person, like it wasn't all that bad. It wasn't that, well, if we just fix this or if we just address that or, but the facts is you have to meet them where they're at and understand that that's who they are. And also not excuse bad behavior. If someone's mean to you and has hurt you on such a huge level, you never have to allow them to sit at your table again. Right. And so knowing your reasonings, knowing your whys is such an important thing. Right. And that was good for me, a good lesson for me to learn. I've since moved on. I tried being friends with them. And, at this point, it's just, they're somebody I used to know and I wish them all the best, but they're, and I'm glad that they're finally getting healing done, but they're just somebody I used to know and I'm okay with that. Right. So yeah. I don't know if anyone else had asked for a card or if anyone else was welcome. You're welcome, Megan. So happy for you, love. I see you on my Facebook and it makes me happy. So if anyone else had I probably have time for one card pull if anyone is interested. And otherwise, if there's no one asking for a card, I am going to hop off here and this will be on the, it will be on wherever you're watching it now, it'll be saved there. And, my brain went like, oh, and it'll be up on Spotify on my channel as just the audio before too long. I'm just looking for Kim's message where she asked for it so I can put a comment down there. No, that's not, I don't know how, okay, I have to respond differently. I thought I could respond. I can, but, oh, here, I will do it that way. Kim, I wonder if it does that. Anyway, I will comment after. Let's see if somebody, Amanda, and Monica. Okay, we'll do two. If we're a little bit longer than an hour, that's okay. You both asked and at the same time, so we'll do Monica first and then we'll do Amanda because that's the order that they appear on my screen. So, Monica. Okay, we're going to stop shuffling because the cards are telling me now's the time to stop. Now that I have that comment pinned, it's kind of weird. Monica. Monica, it's time to go. But she's happy about it, so don't worry. She's running. Look at it's just such a beautiful card. You can see the door in the distance. She's not quite sure. It's definitely, there's a bit of a leap of faith in this, but she's happy about it. She's really looking forward to that. So let's see, number 45. Time to go. So the essential meanings: endings, completion, walking away from something because there is nothing else to learn or experience. The Oracle's message: you are at the end of one journey and have not yet begun the next. This is the moment to bless your experience thus far, take stock of what you've learned. It's time to move on to new experiences and a new way of being. There is nothing left for you to do, be, or experience in your present circumstances. Take the risk and move on, even if you need to be in transition for a time. Your destiny is calling you. A relationship message. So remember, this can be a variety of interpersonal relationships. It could be a good friendship. It could be family. It could be your actual romantic relationship. It's over, or at the very least, the form this relationship has taken is no longer of service to you or the other person. This is a time of letting go, of knowing that the journey has come to its conclusion. That doesn't mean anything is lost. Although this card could speak to a breakup, drifting apart, or the end of a soul contract, it is more about release than destruction. Remember the saying, if you love something, let it go. If it comes back, it's yours. If not, it never was. Endings are always a sign of new beginnings. If you want something deeper, walk away. So for career, for personal development, financial, all of that stuff, this message is clear. The path you've been on with your work, creative projects, and business alliances have come to an end. You will not find the success you desire by continuing with what is now in front of you. This is an auspicious sign because there is no choice that will benefit you other than risking stepping into the unknown. It is a time to walk towards something new. This card also pertains to the more neutral concept of completion. You finished your tasks, and you can rest assured that this ending will open up a powerful new avenue of opportunity, even better than any you can imagine. You have done all you can. Now trust that Spirit keeps the plan moving forward. Fortune requires you to conclude this chapter of your life, and remember that when you close one door, another one opens. Right? And it's true. This would have been my card when I stepped out of my nursing job into this role, right? I had to take a leap of faith. This isn't, necessarily completely aligned with nursing. Mind you, I'm still using my nursing as a part of it. Okay, so Amanda, but I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to see if I can find a way to unpin that comment that I have pinned. All right. There we go. Okay. Back onto par. Now we're going to pull a card for Amanda. Funny that time to go card fell out of the deck just now. It's like, it's true. It's time to go. Listen to me. I'm really fumbling with them. I'm going to do a shuffle it this way. Yeah, oftentimes we get so scared of endings, not realizing that every ending is a new beginning. It's a new opportunity to experience something new. I cried the first night that I was here when I came from Alberta and I got to the cottage and I cried because I had left a lot that I really loved and enjoyed in Alberta. I had wonderful friends. I think that Alberta's beautiful. I love the town that I was living in. I had a place that I was staying that was perfect for me and my dog, with a good friend. I had, an awesome role and an opportunity to extend that role and stay there longer. And, where I felt very fulfilled in my job and in my career. There was a lot that was going on that was positive, and yet I left that to do this because I feel divinely called to do so. I feel like this is where my life is meant to be, my passions and my purpose, and also my family's here. And, I'm also closer to my other son who lives in Nova Scotia. So there was a lot of bonuses to doing it. But as I did it, it was just, wow. I had to say goodbye. And there was a grieving moment for that as well. But the doors that are opening up are going to be amazing, right? When one door closes, another one opens. Okay, so for Amanda. Now that I've got it shuffling better, I feel good about it. Yeah. Amanda, maybe you were the collective reading, although I will say that I pulled it in the upright position, the between worlds. Okay, so between worlds, number 3. We've gotten this card a few times, so maybe the card keeps coming up because it's a message for Amanda. As long as you're watching, we'll always be pulling the between worlds. No, I'm kidding. So the between world, essential meanings, transitions, being quite out of one situation and fully engaged in another, temporary blindness, no man's land. The oracle's message. Between the worlds is where you must let go of the tendency to make assumptions. You should always let go of the tendency to make assumptions. Assumptions get us in trouble. And it's one of the things that I learned when I was going through my trauma healing, that, one of the unhelpful coping mechanisms that we acquire through our childhood traumas is sometimes black and white thinking, mind reading, fortune telling. And it makes sense because the experiences that we had that were really negative or abusive or neglectful, they taught us to expect these bad things to happen. And it was safer for us to expect that the result was going to be bad with our parents, right? Like if our dad raised his voice and then we got a slap, then we were going to predict that when someone raises their voice, a slap is the next thing that's going to come to us. But making those assumptions, when you're an adult and you're standing there and your boss raises his voice at you, your boss isn't going to slap you, but you respond like he is. Physically, your body goes into fight or flight. You might even, say things or react in a certain way, right? And that's where we get people that get really reactionary at work, because your boss ends up being in, like, oftentimes, whether it's a patriarch or a matriarch's position, right? If you have a female boss, you'll see her as a matriarch, like as a mother figure, like they have that same role. If your boss is male, you're going to see him in that like father figure role. But either way, your boss has that almost parental role. And yes, right, they get so mad that you cry. And that's because we weren't taught healthy emotions. We weren't taught to have to express or to honor our emotions in a healthy way. And a lot of us were taught that crying is not acceptable because that shows that you're weak. And then others were taught that anger is not okay. You're not allowed to be mad. You're not allowed to express your anger. So we suppress the anger. And when we suppress it, it makes us cry because that's the way that it can come out. And for some of us, that was okay. Our parents were okay if we were mad and crying, but we weren't okay to be mad and to raise our voice or to assert ourselves in any way, right? And then they didn't teach us how to soothe ourselves through those emotions. So we're left just floundering. So you need to cultivate. So this one, about cultivating curiosity and trusting the process of change and growth. You're done learning the lessons of recent experiences. In this place between what was and what will be is a state of making and unmaking and making again. There is what is essential now is to admit not knowing. And there is a lot of freedom in admitting that not knowing, because that opens you up to learning in a very childlike fashion, right? That's when we learn the best, is when we take our child view. When you go into a learning situation and you're like, I predict and I know, and I already, and like let's say I went into an Oracle class and I'd be like, oh, well, I know how to do card pulls. I know how to read Oracle cards. I know how to, well, if I already come in with that assumption of I already know, then I'm going to miss out on a lot of information. There's so many times that just being in that childlike mentality is going to bring about wonderful experiences to you of knowledge that you weren't expecting. And the way that somebody sees things differently than how other people see things, they could relate it to you in a way that just opens up a whole new level for you. So there is great freedom and power to be unleashed. A mystery that is not yours to understand weaves the web of life within a divine matrix of consciousness greater than your own thoughts, feelings, beliefs, desires, and decisions. The seeds that were planted in the past begin to take root, and what surfaces will probably not be what you expect. When you are between the worlds, you are invited to see with the curious eyes of a child glimpsing a rainbow for the first time. Do so, and you will not be disappointed. For a relationship message, this is a time to explore the new energy between you and another. It is not a moment for certainty, but rather for discovery and curiosity. You don't yet know if this will last forever, so allow yourself to explore who you are and what is reflected back at you. This relationship is meant to educate you about yourself. What do you need? What do you like or dislike? What values are important to you? You are in a critical phase of your relationship that is not to be dismissed or hurried. In prosperity, in your work, sometimes you try things that have worked for others, hoping that you too will be successful. When this symbol appears, it reminds you that sometimes the path to your prosperity is a gamble. Win or lose, you can learn so much from what comes of your wager. It's a good time to bet on your skills and talents in new and different arenas. Remain curious, and with the right combination of timing and luck, you will stumble upon something golden that will be unlike anything you've known before. Right? So that's a really good message. Really good message. Yeah, a really good message. I hope that reflects and that resonates with you, Amanda. And then Monica had asked for one for Dave, and then Jess had asked for one. So we'll do Dave here. We're just going to have a little bit longer of a session this morning because it's going well. So why not? Why not? For Dave. I'm feeling a really good energy right now. Community. So the card is community in protection mode, and community is number 8. So if you want to look up, you could also look numerology. When I give the numbers, always look at what the numerology meaning is behind that number for another message. Yeah. There's some soothing techniques that you can use that will bring you back into balance. That will, and it's because when you're triggered into fight or flight, your higher faculties aren't available. That's also why we don't put down memories correctly when we're triggered into fight or flight. Sometimes, depending on how triggered we are in our fight, flight, freeze, disassociate states of trauma response, sometimes like we'll look back on it and we can't remember it at all. And it's because we didn't lay it down into long-term memory. It just stayed in our short-term memory. So there's a whole lot of memory issues that come around when you're in your fight or flight modes, that are important to be aware of. So you can give yourself a little bit of grace in that, in knowing that it's not that there's something wrong with you. It's just the way that your system works. Think about if you were fighting a bear, would you want to have that memory stored in your mind, right? And in our fight or flight system is in our survival, our reptilian brain, like it's the oldest part of our brain stores that fight or flight reflex. So back in that time, we wouldn't have wanted to remember certain things that happened, right? Like if a wild animal came into our camp and attacked the camp and hurt people, we wouldn't want to remember that, right? We would want to remember some of what happened so that we could prepare going forward, but we wouldn't really want to remember the horror of it. So our brains don't want to keep that memory, right? And it makes sense. So community, the essential meaning is belonging, being seen and understood by others, like-minded connections, a sense of family and friendship, knowing your place in the world. So for the main message, this card signals a new affiliation with a group. Humans are social creatures, and we need to know we are useful to our families and communities. In a community, everyone has an important function and feels I matter. Membership in the group provides a sense of belonging, of kinship, and of purpose that comes from working together for the greater fulfillment of all. Perhaps you are part of a spiritual community or an artistic one. Perhaps you are in a learning community where you share your love of education. Regardless of its form or focus, your community brings you joy. You will be inspired by it and want to contribute to it. Your contribution may be as small as showing up or as large as becoming its leader. No matter your position in the group, your presence is needed. So the protection message. Be aware of compromising your integrity in order to belong. How do you dim your light or change yourself so others will accept you in the group? Do you hide who you really are in order to play a role within the larger whole? This will never fulfill you. Now is the time to assess your willingness to be real. Stand tall, be you. Authenticity is true self-expression and the only way to empower yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself and step into the role your heart tells you to take. Making yourself small bears too high a cost. So the message for Dave really is just being like leaning into your authenticity, and maybe he's playing a role because he thinks that's the role that the whatever this situation is asking for. So it could be inside a relationship dynamic. He thinks that he has to be a specific person or show up in a certain way. We get into that in relationships where we start out and we're like, yes, sorry, Deanna, I just caught your message about, and this one here is my favorite vagus nerve reset, is just to hold your arms like this and look to the right until you yawn, and then you repeat it on the other side until you yawn. You want your eyes to the right or to the left, but for some of us, it's going to be slightly angled just a little bit down or up, but it's going to be in the general position of 3 and 9, 3 and 9 o'clock, and you'll feel yourself either yawn or swallow. You'll get that little trigger. And you don't have to have both arms up. If you have a bad shoulder or whatever, you can do this lying on your bed and have a pillow propped behind you. If you need be, if you have a shoulder that, is blocked or something and has pain and you can't lift it all the way up, just bring it to the level that you can, that's comfortable. So that one's that. So yeah, and a lot of times we start out in relationships, right? And I always joke around about like, I just want people that are authentic because that's who I am. If I don't like race cars, I'm going to tell you, I don't like race cars. I don't want to go, I'll go watch it with you because that's what you like. And I'll go to support you and to hang out with you. But that's not my like spot. That's my accommodation spot. Right. But lots of people will go in and they'll be like, oh yeah, I love sports. I love to watch sports all the time. And, like I'm super clean and I like to work out and I like to do all these things. And they're just basically, I like to do everything that you like to do because I think that in order for you to be with me, I have to be a carbon copy of you to be accepted. And then we get into these relationships where it's like a year in or 2 years in. It's like, yeah, I really don't like sports. I can't stand them. I don't want to watch them. I don't want to go to them. Like, what is, and, oh, I don't like working out all the time. Like, this is not my, and then you find out those things, and then the relationship is nothing because you built a relationship on lies of who you think you are. So that message is really about being who you really are to show up in the relationships and understanding the role that you may be playing in them. Sometimes our role is to come in for a lesson. Sometimes, we're here for a season. Right? Know what the role is. And in community, we could have different roles, right? In a community where we don't have to be everything, right? We don't have to be the financial guru and then the healer and then the, all these other things. So this card will be for Jess. And then I think that should be enough because I rambled on quite a bit too in between all the card pulling. So we're at an hour and 15 minutes worth of this morning's show. So, but lots of great information. I hope people really do listen to the entire thing to get some of the messages that come out in between the card pulls, because it's really great information. So this is for Jess. Truth be told, number 14, and I pulled it in protection mode. Cute little owl. So truth be told. Number 14. So the essential message: honesty, accepting things at face value, coming out of denial, willingness to be transparent, clarity of communication. The oracle's message: there is the truth. What is the essence of a thing? And then there is a truth, subjective according to the philosophy of adherent or believer. This is not a time for debate about which truth is truer. This is a time when you are called to proclaim your truth out loud and be willing to be transparent, honest, and open in your communication with others and with yourself. Nothing less than surrender is what is. Surrender to what is, peeling off the layers of denial that kept you tied to an illusion, will set you free. Be authentic and gloriously flawed, and spirit will answer with miracles. So in protection mode, where are you being dishonest with yourself or others? If you're unhappy in any area of your life, look for signs of denial. This can also pertain to others being misleading or withholding or acting from hidden agendas. Now is this time to say no to dishonesty in all forms. Ask for the truth. Even if you don't like what you hear, acknowledging it will be key to the beautiful new future, where you no longer labor under the heavy burdens that deceit and denial imposes on you. Set yourself free. Nothing less than truth is required now. And it's exactly with my relationship, right? Where you look at it with those rose-colored glasses. Here, this person is, tearing me down and telling me that I'm, narcissistic and abusive and all of these terrible things, which I'm not, but was doing that to be hurtful and to actually harm my opinion of myself. And I was putting on the rose-colored glasses and going, he's got trauma. He's not working on his trauma yet. Like, he just needs to work on his trauma. It wasn't that bad. Look at all the good things. Like, he did sweet things and, he was sweet and funny and he did this stuff, but just denying the actual reality of that situation because I wasn't ready to say, I can leave that. And I know that better is going to be there, or something else that's going to serve me. And I don't need to put up with that kind of behavior. Right. I had to actually just be truthful with myself and honor the truth of the situation in order to navigate through it. So I hope that message was good for you, Jess. I hope that it resonated. And I thank everybody so much for joining me this morning. It was an amazing show. And it's only amazing because you guys are all here as well. And stay tuned for some of the other stuff that's coming out for Mind, Body, Spirit, Healthy Self, and also the Divine Feminine Healing Collective. If you're not part of that and you want to be, just let me know, and I'll get you involved in that. The next event will be at 9 p.m. Eastern on November 8th for the full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. So fun stuff. Thank you for joining, Connie. Thank you, Diana. Sorry, I'm trying to say your name correctly because I know you pronounce it slightly different. So I want to try to make sure that I do people's names justice. As a Tanya that gets called Tanya all the time, I try to make sure that I'm good with everybody else's names and pronunciations. So I'm always willing to learn. But I love you, and I hope you have a blessed Sunday. And I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Bye, guys.